Have you ever wondered why certain things hurt you so deeply, while others seem untouched by the same words, the same rejection, the same silence? Why your chest tightens over a simple comment? Why a friend forgetting your birthday feels like proof that you don't matter? Why that one look, that one sigh, that one "I'm fine" slices you open like a blade, pain, not visible, but piercing, relentless, and yet, somehow, familiar. You tell yourself it's because you're sensitive, that maybe you just care too much, that it's normal to be hurt in a world this cold. But what if the reason you feel hurt isn't what you think? What if the real source of your pain is not what they did to you, but what you believed it meant? And what if there was a way to never feel that kind of pain again, not by numbing yourself, not by building walls or pretending to be above it all, but by finally understanding the one hidden truth your unconscious mind has been keeping from you? The trick is not in never being hurt. It's in understanding who inside you is feeling hurt and why they keep showing up. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." Pain feels like fate. It feels inevitable, random, out of your control. But it isn't. Every time someone's words break you, every time rejection ignites a storm inside you, every time silence echoes louder than a scream, it is not just the event that wounds you. It's the story behind it. A story written long ago by a child inside you who never got the love they needed and who now believes that every disappointment is confirmation that they are not worthy. That child is your shadow. You were not born with this pain. You learned it in moments too small to notice at the time. When you asked for help and were told to be strong. When you showed emotion and were mocked. When your needs were inconvenient and ignored, and so you began to hide. You smiled through tears. You said, "It's fine," when it wasn't. You became the strong one, the quiet one, the easy one. But your pain didn't disappear, it was buried. And now it waits. It waits for moments that echo the past, moments that feel like rejection, abandonment, betrayal. Because in those moments, the child you buried rises, and they still believe they are unlovable. That's why it hurts. Not because someone didn't text you back. Not because your partner forgot what you said. Not because your coworker took credit for your work. It hurts because a silent voice inside whispered, "See, you're not enough." Pain is not the enemy. It is the messenger. It is the gateway. It is the alarm that says, "You have left yourself again. You have made others responsible for your worth. You have placed your heart in someone else's hands and blamed them when they didn't know how to hold it. But they were never supposed to hold it. You were. And this is the hidden tricking to never feel hurt again. You must reclaim the part of you that still believes they need others to confirm your value. How do you do that? You begin with a question few dare to ask. Why do I need this person to approve of me? Not just today, but always. Why does being left out make you feel invisible? Why does criticism feel like a verdict? Why does indifference feel like a wound? You are not reacting to now. You are reliving something that never healed. And every pain you feel is an invitation to return to the root. Carl Jung called this process individuation, becoming who you truly are, not who you were told to be. And the first step is unmasking the lie that says, "I must be chosen to have value." No, you must choose yourself. Do you know what's terrifying about this? It means the pain you feel is yours, not in a blaming way, but in a reclaiming way. Because if it is yours, then so is the power to end it. Not by closing your heart, but by opening your eyes, seeing the patterns, tracing the triggers, recognizing the echo of the past, so that it no longer hijacks the present. This is the work of becoming whole, the work of walking back into the places you once abandoned yourself and saying, "I am here now, and I will not leave you again." Let me ask you something. When was the last time you felt deeply hurt? Now pause. What did it mean to you? What did you say to yourself when it happened? They don't care. I'm never enough. I knew this would happen. These are not new thoughts. These are inherited beliefs, rehearsed conclusions, and none of them are true. You have mistaken repetition for truth. But just because you've always believed something does not mean it belongs to you. Here is the paradox. The trick to never feeling hurt again is not to avoid pain. It's to face the root of why it hurts so much. To become so routed in your own worth that rejection does not define you, that silence does not undo you, that loss does not erase you. You are not meant to be invulnerable. You are meant to be unshakable. And that strength comes from meeting your shadow. Your shadow is not your enemy. It is your teacher. It holds your repressed anger, your denied needs, your buried power. The moment you integrate it, the moment you say, I will no longer be ashamed of wanting to be seen, that's the moment you begin to heal. Not by punishing others, not by becoming cold, but by finally standing with the one person who always needed you, yourself. Let's pause here. Right now, feel what is stirring inside you. Let it rise. Do not push it back down. That grief, that exhaustion, that heaviness in your chest, it is your soul saying, I am done living at the mercy of others. This is your turning point. We have already uncovered a truth that many avoid their entire lives, that the pain we feel isn't caused by others, it's rooted in what we believe about ourselves. And those beliefs, they weren't chosen, they were inherited, conditioned, reinforced in silence. So here's the question we now face. Where did this pain begin? Where did you learn to feel small, invisible, unwanted? To understand this, we need to go deeper, into the place few dare to enter, into the hidden chamber of the psyche Carl Jung called the shadow. The shadow is not evil. It is simply the parts of yourself you've rejected because someone once told you they were unacceptable. Your anger, your ambition, your hunger for attention, your need to be held, your desire to say no. You didn't get rid of them, you buried them deep inside. And now they leak out in the form of anxiety, overthinking, people-pleasing, rage that comes out sideways, tears you can't explain. They show up every time you're hurt because they never left. Let's go back, not in time, but in memory. Close your eyes if you can. Picture your younger self, the one who was told to stop being dramatic when they were only trying to express how they felt. The one who had to shrink to fit in. The one who learned that love had to be earned, not received freely. That child still lives in you. And when you're hurt today, it's not the adult reacting, it's them. Here's the trap of emotional pain. You keep trying to fix it in the present. By changing how others behave, by trying to become more likable, more useful, more perfect. But the wound is not in the present. It's activated in the present. The real wound lives in your unconscious, in your shadow, in the decisions you made about your own worth when you were too young to understand that the problem was never you. Think about it. Why does being ignored by one person feel more devastating than being praised by 10? Why do you feel utterly destroyed when someone withdraws from you emotionally, even if you barely knew them? Why does a breakup feel you've lost a piece of yourself instead of just a connection? Because the shadow remembers. Every abandonment, every dismissal, every moment you needed love and didn't receive it lives inside you like a silent program. And that program runs automatically every time someone touches the same wound. Carl Jung said, "The shadow is everything about ourselves we do not want to know, but what we resist controls us. And so long as you avoid the pain, it owns you. But the moment you bring it into the light, you own yourself again." That is the trick. Not to be untouchable, but to be whole. To no longer depend on others to soothe what was never theirs to fix. Let's name the fear underneath the hurt, the fear of not being enough. This fear is not logical. It's primal. It is the fear of being unloved, of being forgotten, of being excluded from the tribe. And when your worth is tied to others, every no, every ghosting, every disapproval feels like death. Because the child inside still believes, if I'm not chosen, I will disappear. So how do we heal this? We do what no one ever taught us to do. We go into the shadow, and we say, I see you, I hear you, and I'm not ashamed of you anymore. The part of you that feels needy, that's your desire to be seen. The part of you that gets angry, that's your voice trying to protect you. The part that wants to run away, that's your nervous system, doing its best to survive. These are not flaws. These are forgotten parts of your wholeness trying to come home. But this healing requires one uncomfortable thing: radical self-honesty. You must admit where you have abandoned yourself, where you said yes when you meant no, where you laughed at jokes that hurt you, where you waited for a text that never came and made that silence mean you didn't matter. You must own that you traded authenticity for approval, not because you're weak, but because it was the only way you knew how to stay safe. Until now. Now you know. And now you must choose differently. Here is the truth that never speak aloud. You've been outsourcing your self-worth, handing over your emotional center to people just as fragile, just as flawed, just as lost as you once were. This is not your fault, but it is your responsibility. Because no hurt you, no matter who left, no matter who never saw you. You are the one still holding the story, and you are the one who can rewrite it. Carl Jung said, "He who looks outside dreams, he who looks inside awakens." To stop being hurt by others, you must awaken. And to awaken is not to transcend the human experience. It is to become fully human, with boundaries, with depth, with a soul that is no longer for sale. Ask yourself, who have I allowed to define my worth? Whose absence still echoes inside me like a question I never answered? And most importantly, what have I been avoiding within myself by staying loyal to pain? Because yes, there is a strange loyalty to pain, to the familiar sting of rejection, to the echo of being unwanted. It's what you've known. It's what you've adapted to. But healing asks something bold of you: to become disloyal to your suffering, not to deny it, but to no longer worship it. The final step in never feeling hurt again is not to become cold. It is to become clear, to draw a line in the sand of your soul and say, I will no longer shape myself to be more digestible to people who refuse to chew. Let them misunderstand you. Let them mislabel you. Let them walk away. You will not shrink again. Because now you have something greater than approval. You have integrity. You have the courage to say no, to walk away, to disappoint others in order to honor yourself. This is not selfishness. This is sacred self-respect. And when you embody that, the game changes. People who used to manipulate you lose their power. Conversations that once drained you no longer interest you. The silence of others no longer defines your value. Why? Because you are no longer sourcing your safety from the outside. You've built a home within yourself that no storm can touch. Let's make this practical. Here are the 5 daily choices that transform your emotional life. 1. Pause before reacting. The person in front of you is not the enemy. The trigger is not the threat. What hurts now is what was never healed. Breathe. Witness, then respond. Not to win, but to stay aligned with your truth. 2. Speak your boundaries, without apology. You don't need to justify your limits. You don't need to explain why. No is enough. Those who respect you won't require proof. And those who require proof were never respecting you to begin with. 3. Stop waiting for closure from people who never gave you clarity. Your healing cannot depend on their realization. Closure is something you give yourself when you decide to stop bleeding for a story that has already ended. 4. Treat yourself like someone you are responsible for protecting. Would you let someone you love skip meals, overwork, ignore their needs? Then stop doing that to yourself. 5. Remember, your worth is not a currency to be negotiated. You are not more worthy when they text back. You are not less worthy when they don't. You are worthy because you exist. Full stop. Let's circle back to the beginning. The hidden trick to never feeling hurt again is not to avoid pain. It is to become so anchored in who you are that nothing outside of you can take you away from yourself again. Jung taught that holiness requires integration, to bring the shadow into the light, to reclaim what was exiled, to become one. Not perfect, but complete. You don't have to stop loving others. You just have to stop abandoning yourself in the process. You don't have to be invincible. You just have to stop pretending that being hurt means being unworthy. From this day forward, let your pain become a compass. Let it guide you, not to more avoidance, but to more truth. Because when someone disrespects you now, you don't crumble. You become curious. What part of me accepted this before? What part of me is still trying to earn love? What part of me is ready to be reclaimed? And in that moment, you stop being a victim of your emotional history. You become the author of your emotional future. So what does it mean to never feel hurt again? It means this: you no longer expect others to heal what they didn't break. You no longer wait to be chosen to believe you are worthy. You no longer hand out pieces of yourself to those who don't know how to hold them. You remember who you were before the world told you otherwise, and you choose that person. Every day, every boundary, every breath. Let's close with a truth you may not have heard enough in your life. You are not broken. You are breaking open. You are not too sensitive. You are finally listening to yourself. You are not too much. You are just no longer shrinking to be loved. And you are not alone. You are awakening. And those who are ready will meet you in that light. So, if this journey has spoken to something inside you, a wound you buried, a voice you silenced, a truth you feared, say it now, speak it aloud, write it down. I choose myself, and I will never abandon who I am again. That is the trick. That is the healing. That is the return to your true self.